So we are restarting class because we had some problem with the sound. So I'm going to wait for everyone to come on and let me know if you can hear me. Or I think the internet is in a bad state. To come back on. Hare Krishna. Can you hear me? Now I can hear you. Okay. Should we have kirtan? Now that you can hear me, we should have kirtan, right? I think. What do you think? Even though it's late. Yes, let's have kirtan. I wrote a beautiful song the other day. I don't know if I played it for you, but I might have played it for you, but it's in my head, so why don't we play it? This is Shishastakam. And quite nice, I think. A way to remember. This is the 4th verse. We chanted Jai Radha Madhava. Only person who heard it was me. Hold on a minute. Don't go anywhere. Okay. Hold on. I don't want women. I don't want fame. I don't want money to my name. Life after life, all I want to see, just pure devotion to your lotus feet. Pure devotion to your lotus feet. I don't want women, I don't want fame, I don't want money to my name. I don't want women, I don't want fame, I don't want money to my name. And life after life, all I want to see is just pure devotion to your lotus feet. Pure devotion to your lotus feet. I just want pure devotion to your lotus feet. One more time. We can sing it together with some help from our friends in the world of musical backup. I don't want women, and I don't want fame, and I don't want money to my name. I love after life, all I want to see is just pure devotion to your lotus feet. I just want pure devotion to your lotus feet. Pure devotion to your lotus feet. to see is just pure devotion to your lotus feet. Pure devotion to your lotus feet. Shri Shastakam, verse 4, Kijai. So that someday will be recorded. Hare Krishna. Once you get that song in your head, it's never going to leave. But this is basically the essence of Krishna consciousness. Life after life, so the words are, I don't want women, I don't want fame, I don't want money to my name. Life after life, all I want to see is pure devotion to your lotus feet. Hare Krishna. I actually recorded it on a video last night with guitar. So some of you, that's a gift to the donors. You're going to get, all the donors are going to get a special gift of that song before it's released in a proper recording. Hare Krishna. Okay, so we're going to Vrindavan now. Yeah, I actually don't know how to play piano, and I'm getting practice every morning playing it. We actually have a piano in our house. It's just, I never learned it. So it's like, and then I saw this musician and said, if you hear it in your head and you just remove all inhibition, you can play it. So that's kind of, I hear it in my head and I'm trying to play it. Limited, but anyway, it works, I guess. Yeah. That's a good song. So we have, we'll have the whole Shashtakam someday in English. And I think it'll be beautiful. And some Sanskrit maybe we'll sing also. So we are going to continue reading from our document, in which I compiled relevant quotations on the topic of Yogamaya. And we're reading from them, and we left off reading from the 10th canto, 33rd chapter, text 17, and we were talking about, I've been listening to Canadians say about, we were talking about, that's it, they have a slightly different accent. So we were talking about the Munichari gopis who were promoted to Krishna's pastimes in Braj because they wanted to see Krishna there. And they were elevated very quickly, and some of them still needed some more purification, and when Krishna played his flute, their husbands didn't allow them to go. And that was how they became completely purified of any traces of material contamination. And then they were given love, because you can only be given love of Krishna. You can't achieve it. Krishna has to give it. You can work to get it, but it's not like other stages of bhakti where you kind of elevate yourself. Of course, mercy is always there, but you elevate yourself by your endeavor. But at this point, only Krishna has to say, okay, I'll give it. Otherwise, you can endeavor forever. And if he doesn't give it, we don't get it. So what we saw, if you remember on Monday what we were reading, what we saw was that these Munichari gopis were given the elevator. They became very Krishna conscious very fast, which was quite encouraging. That maybe that could happen to us. So they went from, looks like they went from Ruchi to Bab, just like, boom, Ruchi, Asakti, Baba. Boom, boom, boom. They just got immediate promotion. So now we are reading from 10:33:37. This is 20 verses up. And so we may be skipping stories. There may not be consistency here because we're skipping verses. Uh, So I'm not sure what this is now in relationship to, unfortunately. So we're going to have to kind of figure this out. Well, yeah, it seems that we're still in the same story about the gopis being prevented from joining the Rasa Leela and some explanation of why that happened and the effects of that. The cowherd men, this must be referring to their husbands. The cowherd men, bewildered by Krishna's illusory potency, thought their wives had remained home at their sides. Thus they did not harbor any jealous feelings against him. So this appears to be the description of the gopis who went to the rasa dance. And there was a illusory form or another material form of gopis. So their husbands were okay. Oh, my wives are home, everything's fine. And then in spiritual forms, they're there dancing with Krishna. Because the gopis loved Krishna exclusively, Yogamaya protected their relationship with the Lord at all times, even though they were married. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur quotes from Ujjvala Nilamani as follows, quote, "The gopis' jealous husbands consorted not with their wives, but with doubles manufactured by Maya." Just like, looks like Ravana stole Sita, but Ravana is not qualified to touch Sita. You have to be second initiated Brahmin to be qualified to touch the deity. So Sita would not allow, Lord Rama would not allow any ordinary mundane man to touch her. She is his property. So in a similar way, no mundane, ordinary man could touch the body of these gopis. So Yogamaya created doubles, material forms. Thus, these men never actually had any intimate contact with the divine ladies of Braja. So they had children, but they didn't have contact with these ladies. So that's one explanation. That's a general explanation. Yeah, there were other gopis, other different gopis, not on the same level, who had connection with them. The gopis are the internal energy of the Lord. So this must mean that they're talking about the eternal gopis, Nitya gopis who came down. That's what it seems like. The gopis are the internal energy of the Lord. It can never belong to any other living being. Krishna arranged their apparent marriage to other men simply to create the excitement of parakiya rasa, the love between a married woman and her paramour. These activities are absolutely pure because they are the Lord's pastimes, and saintly persons, since time immemorial, have relished these supreme spiritual events. Okay, so now we're entering an interesting realm of Krishna Lila. And we can't understand Krishna Lila if we relate it to our own Lila, or we relate it to the amorous affairs of people of this world, because it's not that. And so that has to be just removed. Don't, when you, rather than Krishna, don't think ordinary boy and girl. If you do, you'll never understand it, and very good chance you'll misunderstand it, and instead of becoming purified, will become totally ruined. So now that's my preamble, or what should we call it? Preface. Not preamble. I don't know if it's preamble. Maybe it's a preamble. It's my preface to this discussion. So you did hear correctly. Krishna likes to dance not with unmarried women, but with married women. Of course, Radharani is not married, so that's different. But Krishna, he really likes to dance with women who are married. He likes to have girlfriends with women who are married. And some of you who know me, sometimes when we go on morning walks, we'll be walking somewhere. Nice place, nice forest, and it'll say, no trespassing. And that's where I always go. Say, why do you go there? It's more exciting. That you're doing something wrong. There's some excitement at doing something wrong. Of course, not everybody would think like that. I don't want to go where it says no trespassing. I don't always go, but sometimes if there's like a beautiful place and there's no one around, or, it says don't enter here. It's fun, I guess it's my boyish mentality. If the sign says don't enter here, that's a fun place to enter because you're not supposed to do it. It's more exciting. It's not exciting at all to enter where it says enter. But if you can enter, if there's another entrance that says don't enter and you're a mischievous young boy, it's more exciting because you're not supposed to do it. Does that make sense? You're all thinking, I don't like to do that. Anyway, you may not like to do it, but some people do. So try to be empathetic to the people who have that mentality. Like young boys who like to, do things, or, sometimes young boys, they'll do things like put a firecracker somewhere. They'll just do mischief, because it's not ordinary. Maslow said there are 6 human needs, and one human need is for variety. So, to do something you've never done and go against the grain, go against the norm, there's some pleasure in that. So, having said that, if Krishna has a girlfriend, that's okay. But if he makes a girlfriend out of a married woman, now that's exciting, isn't it? I mean, it happens all the time in this world, Little fling, we call it. Married man, married woman has a little fling with another lover, mistress, whatever you want to call it. So Krishna likes that. But those women, those gopis, have no connection with their husbands because, as Prabhupada says here, they're part of the internal energy, and so they can't be touched by anyone other than Krishna. So, of course, we understand they're really not married. They're eternally belong to Krishna. And we understand that those gopis are expansions of Krishna. So as expansions of Krishna, it's just Krishna dancing with himself. So when Krishna is calling the gopis for Rasa Leela, at least from the perspective of philosophy, of what we call tattva, he's actually calling his own expansions because he created them. They're his energy. So he's dancing with himself. Oh, he's dancing with other person's wives. No, he's not. He's actually dancing with himself. Anyway, even if you think he's dancing with another man's wife, it's just there as a it's there as a context for enjoyment. That it appears these women are married to these men and Krishna's calling them, so it makes it more relishable. Now, Krishna likes to steal. He steals butter and yogurt. But the butter and yogurt that he has in his house is from cows, which are very special. They're just cows that are just for Krishna's butter and yogurt. They're not like ordinary cows. So he has better yogurt and butter than anybody in the village. So why would he steal yogurt and butter from the neighbors if he has the best yogurt and butter? Because there's something special about eating something you didn't pay for. It's like, hey, you ever get something free? Hey, I got this USB stick free. It's like, this is like, wow, this is so cool. Instead of paying $3.59 for it, I got it free. And it's just like, it just seems so much better now because I didn't pay for it. You ever have that experience? Wow, look at that. What's that, Prabhu? Oh, that's a USB stick. How much did it cost? I didn't pay for it. Really? You got it free? Yeah, I got it free. So, the taste of stolen butter and yogurt, it actually tastes better than just the yogurt and butter you normally get. So that's why he steals it. Of course, There are other reasons. The gopis actually like it when he steals, although externally they don't, and they run after him and chastise him and complain to Mother Yasoda. But it's all part of a Leela. So Krishna likes stolen property. You know what can I say? He likes property. He likes other people's property. It's just more relishable for him. So that's what he does. And now some people are saying, that's not right. That's not moral. He can't, why is he doing that? You know, if I were God, I wouldn't do that. And so the whole point is, hello, everyone, in case you don't know, we're not in a position to judge what Krishna does. Actually, our position is to relish what he does and to understand why he does it. And here's the news. And we may have kind of indirectly mentioned this last week, Monday, when we were talking about surrender. Here's the news, everyone. Krishna does whatever he likes. And as we used to say as kids, like it or lump it. Like it or lump it means like it or don't like it. That's what he does. Of course, devotees like whatever Krishna does. And devotees don't put themselves in a position to say, well, I don't think he should do that. That's not right. But devotees put themselves in the position to facilitate whatever Krishna wants to do and understand what makes Krishna happy. And so part of understanding the transcendental nature of Krishna's Leela is to understand why he would want to steal, why he would want to be with other people's gopis. Okay, so we have a comment here from Kaylee. She said what? She's going to plan a no trespassing sign outside her house to make sure I come in. Should ever be privileged to meet you, I'll make sure to plant some do not enter signs around the neighborhood just to make sure your day becomes more fun. Yeah. Put whenever you invite me to your house, make sure you put a do not enter sign on the door, and that way you'll know for sure that I will enter. Yeah. You ever, you're like in an office or something and it says, do not enter, employees only. And immediately you're thinking, what's in there? Can I go in there? Can I look and see? You know, is that okay? Isn't it? If you, want to interest somebody in something, just say, I heard something, but I can't tell you. Why can't you? Well, it's really private. I really shouldn't tell you. I mean, I was told not to tell you. Now they're totally interested because it's like, really? Yeah, it's kind of, it's like I found this information on one of the GBC's desk, and it's actually private. I shouldn't have really seen it, but you can't believe what I said. But I can't tell you. It wouldn't be right if no, tell me. There's something like that. The more it's wrong, the more it becomes relishable. Something like that. Anyway, we're trying to understand Krishna. Krishna's mood and mentality, and so we can support him. Okay. Yeah, Krishna likes excitement. He's But the point is that you can see these propensities also perverted in human beings. But a lot of men, unfortunately, are bored with their wives, and they like other women sometimes. It's called prostitution. So, you can blame Krishna, How come you saw a prostitute? It's his fault. It's his fault because he's always with other women. So I'm an image of God. I have the same propensity. So, blame him, not me. I'm innocent. No, we can't take it to that extent, but yeah, that tendency is there in Krishna, but it's in its purest form. And so we are always serving Krishna's desire. Whatever he wants to do, we understand it's absolutely perfect and pure. We can never judge it. Okay, but we have an important question, which I knew was going to come up. What about all the people that don't understand this? How can we talk with people that judge Krishna for this kind of act? I had a discussion once with an Indian that was completely against Krishna for this reason. Well, Number one, publicly we shouldn't discuss it. Number two, if someone approaches you with it, the simple answer is, in order to say, it's not what you think it is, but in order to understand what it is, you need to read the Srimad Bhagavatam up to that point where this pastime happens, and then you'll understand the theology behind it. But even before that, we can understand that God is good, God is absolutely good, whatever God does is good. Yes, yes, yes. So if he agrees with that, then that means what we see him doing, which isn't good, must be good, and it must be us that don't understand how it's good. And so we need to read the Bhagavatam to understand how it's good. And if we think what God does is bad, then there must be something wrong with the way we're seeing it, because he can't do anything bad and still be God. That wouldn't make sense. And that would be like saying, well, I don't do that and he does it, so that makes me good and him not good, or that makes me morally better than him. All right, from the mundane moral position, you might be better than God, but obviously that doesn't even make sense anyway. So those are some ways you can explain it. I mean, there could be many ways, but I usually say that it takes many, many years. I kind of sometimes, I don't know if you always want to do this, but I make people realize, and it's kind of an indirect intimidation, although I don't intend it to be that way, that they can't understand that it requires like the depth of qualification. Because you could say something, well, actually, it requires practicing celibacy before you could understand this, because it has no tinge of anything mundane. And until we're completely pure sexually, we won't be able to completely, in a vacuum, so to speak, understand the purity of this. And you could be vulnerable and humble and say, I'm still having difficulty understanding it, trying to be pure enough to understand it. Another thing that Prabhupada says is that, Sukadeva Goswami, who's reciting this, Vyasadeva, who's written it, they're obviously very elevated souls. Vyasadeva has written all the Vedas, compiled them. So would these great intellectuals be worshiping a God who's immoral? I don't think so. These are the most moral people, the most highly elevated people. Normally, when you are a follower of someone, you become like them. And so Prabhupada said, so Krishna, if he's immoral, this and that, how is everyone becoming free from sex desire by hearing about Krishna's activities with the gopis? How does that work? So that shows that this is it is a pure activity, transcendental. Otherwise, why would these great sages be interested in discussing it? And how is it that everyone's becoming purified? If he's not purified, if he's contaminated, if he's immoral, how is everyone else becoming purified, uncontaminated, and moral by hearing it? So these are some of the ways Prabhupada has taught us to deal with this. And Deepak says, well, how can he steal? Because everything belongs to him. Yeah. That is kind of an impossibility. But for the fun of the Leela, we have to say that, it's like when you're looking at Leela, you can look at it and you can analyze it from a philosophical perspective. Here's Krishna, like we're kind of doing, but it's actually all belongs to Krishna, this and that. And then you can analyze it from what we call the perspective of rasa vichar. Tattva vichar, the philosophical truth behind it, kind of like, okay, here's the script, here's what's going on, this is how everything works philosophically, that's called tattva. But rasa is the relationship. So in the relationship, that analytical process stops and there's just emotion and affection. So when you enter the Leela and you see, the essence of the Leela is the sweetness, that if Krishna steals the butter from the gopis, he relishes that butter more. They get to see him, they get to relish that Leela, and they love it, even though they're complaining. So that's the rasa of it. He's not God. He's a little boy stealing yogurt from the neighbor's house, but they're all madly in love with him, and they get to interact. And of course, he knows they want to interact. So that's the rasa perspective. So the tattva perspective is, yeah, he owns all the butter. And the rasa perspective is he's going there to create mischief because he likes to create mischief, and that makes the gopis happy also. So Nadia says, I like these explanations more than the usual he steals out of love for other gopis that made that yogurt thinking of him, so he accepts that offering too, not only Mother Yasoda's, but honest, he likes to steal stuff. It's amazing. I know. I know we need to be reverential and not look at him with material eyes, but pastimes where Krishna is playing or a kinky thief are so amazing. It's so fun. And I think it's okay to have spiritual fun. So, yeah. Oh, Krishna has the most fun. So now you have a problem. It's called Sahajya. Sahajya thinks, well, Krishna has girlfriends. He's doing the hoochie coochie with all his girlfriends. So if I'm going to become Krishna conscious, I need to have girlfriends and do some hoochie coochie with them. Believe it or not, well, if you don't understand what hoochie coochie is, you probably can understand it just by how it sounds, right? So they actually think to become Krishna conscious, they also need to get their gopis and mess around with them, believe it or not. So taking that philosophy, we should go around stealing because Krishna steals, and that will help us, maybe that's Sakya Ras. You steal, and if you want to enter Madhurya Ras, just get girlfriends. And get them all pregnant. No, don't get them pregnant. Krishna never got his girlfriends pregnant. But they get their girlfriends pregnant because they have material bodies and different desires. So that's going on. So how did you make this crossing from this pure rasa lila to me having my own rasa lila? Well, welcome to the material world. And anything's possible. So when you study a little bit of the Sahajya sects and how they concoct things. And sometimes they dress up as gopis. I've seen that personally. To be loved by Krishna, that's another perversion. Then you realize, anything's possible. We're seeing some crazy things in America that we never thought we would see before. And some crazy conspiracy theories, and I was just listening to an interesting phenomena that many Christians are the most likely people to believe in conspiracy, religious people believing in conspiracy theories. So these are unprecedented events in America. Maybe they were happening behind the scenes, but they're really coming out of the woodwork. And a lot of people are looking and saying, how could you believe all these things? This doesn't make any sense. And so what we're seeing is that people can believe in all kinds of things. It's possible. So from Krishna stealing, I become a thief and I justify, well, it's Sakya Ras, or it's enhancing my Vatsalya Bhav. I just go steal yogurt, It's all kinds of crazy things. Hare Krishna. And that's also when Krishna is in Dwarka, then he's setting an example how we should live. When he's in Vrindavan, he's not setting an example how we should live, at least not most of the time. He's setting an example of what is God. And in Dwarka, he's setting examples like, this is how you should live in Grihastha life. So, as long as you make that distinction, you can kind of imitate the Dwarka Leela, but don't imitate the Braj Leela because not your position. I mean, he's setting an example in Dwarka. We follow that example, but the example in Vrindavan, that we worship that example. We don't imitate it. And the Sahajis don't worship. They worship it by imitating, and we don't imitate it. That's how we just worship it. So Krishna Karshani says, and Marco says what Deepa says. Krishna owns everything, can't steal anything. See, that's the tattva. Krishna owns everything, so everything belongs to him. But when you enter the lila, if you look at the tattva, you lose the rasa. So you enter the lila and you go, oh, Krishna's stealing. Look at that. It's so cute. And he's hiding, and that's so cute. So you have to drop all that tattva. Otherwise, you won't relish the rasa. Right? So, Krishna Karshani says, I was always having doubts if selling Krishna book to non-devotees is proper. For me, it's like preaching those who don't believe in God. I don't think common people will be able to understand. I don't know. You'll have to do a test. I never had that problem. I'm wondering why Prabhupada wanted disciples to sell, because he explained. He explained everything. Yeah, he said if people read this book about Krishna, they'll become purified. But he explained who Krishna is, and he explained the pastimes. It's interesting, though, and I understand what you're saying, and on one level, it does make sense. Like, this is, too elevated. So Prabhupada's idea was, well, we're explaining everything. But I don't know if you've heard stories like this, but I've heard stories where some devotee read Krishna book and they became a devotee, and they kind of really didn't know who Krishna was exactly. I can't remember exactly what they said. That was the impression I got, that it was just like, this Krishna book was amazing. This Krishna person is amazing. They kind of like didn't really like maybe get it that he's God, something like that. But there's so much philosophy in there. So actually, a lot of people became devotees from reading Krishna book. Maybe the times are different now. Maybe people are not the same anymore. One devotee told me that because of social media, brains are now, they don't operate like they used to. They're wired differently. So things could be different. It would be nice, what I always have thought, it would be nice to just get random people and do an experiment and give them different books, and say, we will pay you to read these books, which is not a bad idea if you're rich. You can make the world Krishna conscious. Just pay enough people to read Prabhupada's books. But I wasn't thinking like that. I was thinking, we will pay you to read these books, and we want to get your feedback. Like, what did you understand? Was it interesting? Was it hard to read? Are you all inspired to take up any spiritual practice like that? And see, that would ultimately, tell us. Yeah. So Nicole's saying, I heard it. You can't lift Govardhan Hill. You can't imitate other Krishna's leelas. Yeah. Before you dance with your gopis, lift Govardhan Hill. The other example is Lord Shiva drank an ocean of poison. So don't imitate Lord Shiva until you can drink an ocean of poison. Don't imitate Krishna until you can do all these other amazing leelas. No, forget the Govardhan Leela. Just give me the Gopi Leela. Yeah. Sorry. The entrance examination to becoming, having your own Rasa Leela is lifting Govardhan Hill on one pinky for 7 days. Or 8 days, whatever it was. So if you can do that, then we'll authorize you. We'll give you a permit to go get your gopis. But until then, stay away. So yeah, that's the idea. Kelly says, I've heard that interpreting the Rasa Leela as a regular mundane eroticism is to make offense is interpreting Krishna stealing butters. Yeah, it would be. But generally, I think only the thieves might have a problem with Krishna stealing butter. Because if it's not something you do, you wouldn't really, well, actually you could. Yeah, it's offense. Let's just say that. It's an offense. But probably less likely to misunderstand that as it is to misunderstand his Leela. Because you could understand, well, it's cute and he's a kid and kids, do mischief and, you may not think anything of it. It's not, kids can't really do something immoral just because they steal some butter. But dancing with other men's wives, whoa. No me gusta. Je n'aime pas ici. I don't like this. Tikne, not good. No es bueno. That's how they'll think. So we have a quote. Anuradha, that's a bit of a quote from Srila Prabhupada. I don't know where the quote's from, but we'll read it. Here in this material world, they are so much attracted to sex life. So it is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu who first of all opened the secret of attachment within Radha and Krishna. Radha Krishna love affair. It was Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu opened. This is the Unat Ujvala Rasa, very high elevated spiritual affair. Is this Prabhupada speaking? So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu disclosed this. The idea is, if one becomes attracted with the loving affairs of Radha and Krishna, then he will forget the so-called sex enjoyment in this material world. Question, how can we become to Radha and Krishna their loving affairs? I need you to ask the question. There's a few words missing. Can we become what? Attached to Radha and Krishna and their loving on? How can we understand them? How can we become qualified? You're missing a word. Anyway, I'll take a guess. How can we become qualified to enter, to approach, to hear? Or why are we qualified? Or why did Lord Chaitanya do it? Well, Lord Chaitanya did it, we know that. So let's say you're a musician, you play violin, and I find a Stradivarius violin, for whatever, $300,000, and I give it to you, and you're feeling like, but I'm not qualified to play this violin. I'm not that good. Why did you buy such a good violin? You could have bought a violin for $1,000. It would have been fine. Yeah, whatever. I brought you the violin, so now you have it. Okay, so that's part one of the answer. We might be answering a different question, but we'll answer something. So that's part one of the answer, is he gave it. So, why did he give it? Because he wanted to, because he could. Do you need any more reason than that? Yeah, but it doesn't make sense. It's Kali Yuga and we're so fallen. Yeah, I know it doesn't make sense. That's why it's so amazing. But it doesn't make sense. You're giving me, I'm not even that good a violinist. I know, it doesn't make any sense. It just makes it even more amazing. So why did he give it? Because he wanted to. So we are the fortunate recipients. So he wanted to give it, and he gave it, and Prabhupada's giving it, and so we're supposed to take it. How do you take it? How can you understand it? How can you become qualified? Follow 4 regular principles, especially the 4th. The 4th one. That's the tough one. Follow the 4th one. Of course, I just say the 4th principle because it sounds good, but you know what I'm talking about. Follow the 4th principle as best you can, and as you become transcendental to lust, then you can understand Radha and Krishna. We can't understand we can understand something, but to the degree that we're purified, we can enter into the deeper understandings of it. So the problem is always, if we have attachment to the opposite sex and enjoying the opposite sex, then whenever we see a man and a woman together, what do we think of? So that's why people like to go to movies, and then there's a love affair, the man and the woman, and it's like, and it's just kind of like, you can use that as an inspiration for your own love affairs. So if we understand Radha Krishna Leela perfectly, then we can become very, very elevated very, very quickly. And so it's a real impetus. I find it a real impetus to follow the regulative principles as you get the prize to be able to understand Radha and Krishna, which, if you can, as maybe like 10 quadrillion, godzillion, Google zillion, billion times greater pleasure than sex. And so once you get a glimpse of that and understand that, then it's not difficult to give up sexual desire, because you realize this is going to, if I give it up, it'll propel me into something that's gazillions. Is that a number? Gazillion? Quadzillions? Gadzillions? Google zillions? I think Google is infinite, right? Infinitely. Oh yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. A little tired today. Infinitely, infinitely greater. Infinitely greater. That's the truth. So, and also, if you chant the pure holy name, then within that holy name, your sarup, your relation with Krishna will be revealed. But you have to follow the four principles to be able to chant purely. So until we're following perfectly, our chanting is not yet completely pure. So it has to be more pure so we can understand this, Radha and Krishna. So this is what Mahaprabhu came to give, this rasa, this taste, this understanding. And so we become qualified by, not just by following regular principles, but by everything we're doing. I don't know if that's what you're asking. If that's not what you were asking, you can ask again. Krishna Karshani says, actually, we are more or less trying to have our own rasa-like dance. Some dancing with the opposite sex, in reality doing it in their minds. Rasa lila seems to be very attractive to imitate for conditioned soul. Yeah, of course. So we have two problems. One problem is we may stop doing the rasa dance, but we continue to do it in our minds. Have you ever done the rasa dance in your mind? You're like, oh, okay, get yourself together, Prabhu. Mahatma Das, get yourself together. Don't do that. Yeah. So, first we stop with the body, but then you might say, well, shouldn't we first stop with the mind so we can stop the body? Yeah, but sometimes once we get the body together, then we think, well, let me try it in the mind, Nobody's going to see me. Okay, Prabhu, whatever's going on in your mind, we have on a video screen now for all the world of ISKCON to see. Is that okay with you? Would you allow us to do that, No, don't do that. Oh, I'll be embarrassed. No, we're going to put the screen up, and we know you're thinking of Krishna Leela, and it's just going to be like, we're all going to sit there and look at Krishna Leela. No, don't put it up. Don't put it up. I don't want you to see what I'm thinking. Yeah, so, no, but Prabhu, you're a pure devotee. You're Mangalartik every day. And, you chant your rounds. And don't put that screen up. Just don't put it up. Yeah, so that's the harder part, right? To get the body to do it, it's not that hard. You can do it, To get the mind to give up the desire to do what you've given up with your body, that's like the stain in the pot. It's hard to get rid of. Or the stain on the cloth that's hard to get rid of. Keep washing. Just keep watching. Throw some bleach on it. Just keep working on it. Okay. Question was how to become attached to them. Yeah, I think I answered it, no? How can we become attached to Radha Krishna? Well, so many answers. Become attached to Prabhupada, become attached to the previous acharyas, attached to the instructions of Prabhupada and your guru, attached to chanting, chant extra rounds, study those leelas more, try to understand them more. Stephanie says, maybe the problem is that we are trying to understand God's pastimes, comparing him with us, taking us a little departure point. Yeah. Yes. Exactamente. Well, we're also comparing, the whole Leela to this world, because this world is our point of reference. So when you're going to the spiritual world, you're going to get up there and you go, where's the bathroom? Oh, what? There's no bathroom here. Where's the, it's kind of warm. Do you have air conditioning? No, it doesn't get warm here. It's like you can't think of it like you think of this world. How many toilet paper up here? No, we don't use toilet paper. We don't actually pass stool up here. Huh? Really? Oh, okay. I gotta get used to this place. It's a little different from where I come from. Right? So when we'll call this class, when you go to the spiritual world, don't ask where the toilet is. That's a Bhakta Burfi moment. When he gets to the spiritual world, where's the toilet? Bhakta Burfi, we don't do that up here. So yeah. It is said that if someone is full of sex desire, this person should not study Rasa Lila because it will make their sex desire even stronger. So it seems that most of us avoiding this topic is required. Yes and no. I wouldn't say most of us, maybe some of us. But it's understanding the Rasa Lila is what will cure that desire. So we should hear it, but we should hear it in a very respectful mood. And you could also hear it understanding that I think I'm going to have to bring toilet paper when I go back to Godhead. And so, try to drop those conceptions. Yeah, maybe that's the name of this class. You don't need toilet paper when you go back to Godhead. Oh, really? I thought I did. I was going to bring some with me. Hare Krishna. So I never really heard Prabhupada say, we shouldn't read it. He, otherwise he wouldn't, have given purports to those parts of Bhagavatam, or he would have said, well, the first time you read Bhagavatam, just skip over it. But it's true. If by reading it, someone sees it in a mundane way and becomes sexually disturbed, they shouldn't read it. Definitely. But it is the medicine for that desire. That's also, so it's a tragedy if you can't read it. But I was told in Gaudiya Math, when they were reading through the Bhagavatam, they wouldn't have discussions on Rasa Lila. They would just read it, and it's like, okay, this is for the, Paramhansas. It's not for us. So, they were very cautious about these things, not to dwell on, not to publicly discuss them. And it is, sometimes publicly discussed, maybe too much, because the public may not be ready, so we have to be cautious. Prabhupada said that Lord Chaitanya never publicly discussed Krishna's leelas with the gopis. It was only in private with his intimate associates. And Prabhupada may have discussed it, but only briefly, not elaborating on it. So we should be cautious. That's Prabhupada's instruction. Well, that's Prabhupada's explanation. Mahaprabhu didn't do it, so, if he didn't do it, probably we should be careful. Only amongst people who are qualified to hear. That's the idea. So, Gerda says, Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6, verse 47, purport, Prabhupada writes, that is because bhakti or devotion is the highest power of God, is such a power that binds God and makes him a slave of his devotee. So instead of imitating God, we should be happy with this position because it's special and we have a special place in Krishna's heart. Of course, that's a hard part also. Well, the point is, like you say, or it's said, it's not our position to imitate him. And if you try, well, I don't want to say if you try, I want to say don't ever try, because it's a disaster. We've been trying to imitate Krishna. It doesn't work. And now that you're a devotee, if you try to do it, it's a million times worse. So, and if you need a gopi or you need a gopa to marry, always enter that relationship in the mood of servant, not in the mood of enjoying. Because if you enter into the mood of enjoyment, it'll be hell. Or maybe worse than hell. Yeah. Question from Monday, from Badher. Badher Soma. All the way from, where are you? Montreal. What if the desire to help others becomes other devotees is bigger than the desire to see Krishna? Yeah, we did have some questions from last Monday. If you had a question, please put it here, because I did notice when I was leaving the class, because I had to leave to go to a meeting, I did notice there were questions I didn't answer, so I'm happy to answer them. What if the desire to help others becomes bigger than the desire to see Krishna's face? What is the highest desire to aspire for? Particle of dust, seeing Krishna's lotus face, pleasing the spiritual master? Can you please list the highest spiritual desire and higher? Yeah, please your guru, please Prabhupada. That's it. Nothing better than that. And then from that, these other desires will manifest, but that's always the foremost desire. I don't really think that, one desire manifests necessarily independently of the others, or that those desires are actually different. Well, look at it this way. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta said we should aspire to be a particle of dust. So if I aspire to be a particle of dust, then I'm doing what he said, so I'm following him. But if you study Vaishnava theology carefully, you'll see it's all, everything is the fulfillment of the desire of the Guru. That's the essence of it. And by doing that, you'll want to see Krishna. You'll want to do so many things. So, like I say, they can happen simultaneously. They don't have to, not necessarily is there a hierarchy as such. But if you want to make a hierarchy, that's where it starts, the order of the Guru. And Prabhupada showed us the glory of doing that. So Marco says, to participate in Krishna Leelas, we must become like an offering of prasadam to be offered to Krishna. Therefore, all our thoughts, activities, our lives are selves. In that case, we can be prasadam, live in a world of prasadam, and enjoy the fact of making Krishna happy by satisfying his senses. Yes, okay. Prasadam, become prasadam, offer yourself to Krishna. Yeah, this is, when we first understand Krishna consciousness well enough to want to become devotees, we understand all these things, but our whole life is progress to actually understand what we thought we understood day one. We're spending the rest of our life trying to understand, like in last class, understand why I don't want to surrender. Understand that I'm meant to be enjoyed by Krishna. I don't exist independently. I don't exist from my own enjoyment. How long is it going to take us to realize that? To accept it, to embrace it? We have lots of samskars embedded within our consciousness that, the world is like it's here for me. Everything's here for me. Get as much as you can. How long is it going to take us to flip that around so the world's here for Krishna? I'm meant to serve his enjoyment. And when you get it, that's when the ecstasy in Krishna consciousness just starts going higher, higher, deeper, deeper, more amazing. But when we try to grab some of the action, so to speak, from Krishna, we just live a kind of a miserable life. Even as a devotee, not so blissful. Because we're still not there yet. We're still not where we should be. It's hard if you're not experiencing it, because you'll read in Prabhupada's books about how blissful devotional service is, and you may be thinking, well, for me, it's not always like that. Well, then maybe there's a reason. That you're still putting yourself in on some level as the enjoyer of something and not entirely ready to be the prasadam of Krishna. So anyway, something to think about. So Jyotirmaya says, once I was talking on Twitter with a friend about being a Hare Krishna, and the first question she did was about the Leela among the gopis and Krishna. My answer was, why do we have to discuss about this? There's so many more important things to talk about. That's a good answer, if they accept the answer. Bhagavad Gita has so many arguments, and the most important is that we have to abandon ourselves to Krishna. Yeah. Krishna is interesting, He wants the world to know he dances with other people's wives. It's like, okay, you still believe in me? It's like you fall in love with this guy, Jyotirmaya, you fall in love with this. Is like just everything you could have ever imagined, right? And everything's great. And then you find out actually he's already been married twice before. And he's like, ah. And he says, well, are you going to love me for who I am? Or are you going to love me for my past record? So, even though Krishna likes to dance with other people's wives, we're going to love him anyway. We're going to give everything to Krishna, no matter what. No matter how many girls he dances with. A question, a bit off topic. Should we take as a given that all who hold impersonal point of view in this life become trees in Vrindavan? No, not necessarily. It could be a benediction. You may want to be a tree. Get to see Rasa Leela. Impersonalists. Did you read that somewhere? That impersonalists become trees? Because impersonalists become trees in the Brahman. But, yeah, let me know if you read that somewhere, because it's not really the position I understand a tree would, an impersonalist would want to take. I mean, it can happen, anything can happen. Krishna can bless the tree. Nadia says, about needs we have here that are not in the spiritual world. If nobody needs to sleep spiritual world, yet the gopis sleep after dancing with Radha and Krishna. So if they don't need to sleep out of need, do they sleep so then they can wake up and wake up and dressing and Radha and Krishna, because they would go to sleep the first place, they would have daily dress. Yeah, exactly, they have. Eating and sleeping is just a leela, not a necessity. And, they have day and night, although there's no sun. How does that happen? It just works. Krishna, it's a whole day, like right now he's going out with the cowherd boys, and like 11:40 or so, he's going to Radhakund, and like 3:40, he's going to meet the cowherd boys, and he's going to come back. And then they're going to, bathe, and then he's going to milk the cows, then bathe, and have some meal, and play with his friends, and then, I forget what time it is, maybe around midnight, maybe a little before 11ish, he'll go out and meet Radharani. And he'll come back like right before his mother wakes him up, 6ish, 5ish, I forget the times. Wake him up, jumps in bed, But sometimes Prabhupada had said, I think they kept the deities up late or something. He said, Krishna's a young boy, he needs his rest. Maybe they wanted to keep the deities awake like on New Year's Eve, and he said, no, he's a young boy, he needs his rest. So it's all part of the Leela. Potter says, if Krishna consciousness is 90% common sense, what is the other 10%? Shastra. Transcendent, things that you couldn't understand, things which you wouldn't know, which is the whole transcendental realm of the spiritual world. That you wouldn't know. And that 10% becomes everything in the sense. Prabhupada wrote in the Krishna book, having held impersonal point of view in their past lives, they are not put into this, they are now put into the stationary condition of life, but they have the opportunity of seeing you, Krishna. Well, that's a blessing for them. I don't think all the impersonalists get it. We are praying for further advancement in spiritual life through your person. That's, yeah. I don't know if every impersonalist becomes a tree. This is special. Special mercy. Okay, you want to read some more? We have 9 minutes. So this next quotation is from 10th Canto, 45th chapter, text 41. It's a few verses, 4 verses ahead from what we just read. Shukadev Goswami said, understanding that his parents were becoming, this is about Devaki and Vasudeva, understanding that his parents were becoming aware of his transcendental opulences, the Supreme Personality of Godhead thought that this should not be allowed to happen. Thus he expanded his Yogamaya, which bewilders his devotees. So, Devaki and Vasudeva understood that Krishna was God, but sometimes that was covered. They were like in between Dwarka and Vrindavan, so they kind of oscillated back and forth. And so, in this story, what's being said is that, Krishna wanted the motherly affection. He didn't want you're supreme, you're the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the source of creation, the Lord of the demigods. He didn't want that kind of thing. He didn't want Vasudeva sees him and go, oh, my son, the cause of all causes of universal affairs, the Lord of the demigods, the creator of the creators. Krishna, if Vasudeva was doing that, Krishna would be like, oh, give me a break. I don't want that relationship with you. But so Vasudeva would sometimes have that relationship. That would be a funny play, Vasudeva's glorifying Krishna like that, and Krishna's like, knock it off, Pop. Just like, knock it off, just forget that stuff. Just treat me like your son. Purport. If Vasudeva and Devaki would have seen Krishna as Almighty God, their intense love for him as their son would have been spoiled. Lord Krishna did not want this. Rather, the Lord wanted to enjoy with them the ecstatic love of Vatsalya Rasa, the relationship between parents and children. As Srila Prabhupada often pointed out, although we normally think of God as the Supreme Father, in Krishna consciousness, we can enter into the Lord's pastimes and play the part of his parents, thus intensifying our love for him. I think that's clear. So, Prabhupada has said, or some Shastric references there, that when Krishna's chastised, he actually likes that because it's full of affection. You naughty boy, don't do that again. He's like, I love that. And the Brahmins are chanting, Om. Pavitra Pavitra Va Yashmare Om Pavitra Pavitra Va Yashmare Pundarika Sarvavastam Kutopi Va, chanting, so whatever mantras, Om Purnamadaha Purnam Viram Purnam Purnam Udachyate. They're doing it perfectly. And Mother said, "You rascal, you rascal, get back here, I'm going to punish you." That's what Krishna likes. And the chanting the Vedas, he's like, "Oh my God." Not exactly like that, but when are you guys going to finish this? Like, is it over yet? Not exactly like that. He appreciates it, of course, but there's not real rasa there for him. But when his mother or some devotees chastise, then yes. Then he's like, yes, keep it up, chastise me some more. That's what I like. Christy says, Krishna told Balaram these impersonalists will take birth as trees. Well, were they Mayavadis or impersonal? He said, that's a difference. I was thinking Mayavadis. Impersonalist, that's different. Yeah, that may be. Mayavadis, no. Yeah, I think that's what you meant, impersonalist. Impersonalist doesn't mean Mayavadi necessarily. Mayavadi means Mayavadi, so that makes sense. Yeah. Shantaras. But not all inanimate objects are in Shantaras. They may take it, not inanimate. Not all other species are in Shantaras. They may take that form because of a particular ras, and they may be in, like a cow can be in Madhurya, in Vatsalya ras. Give Krishna milk. So, I think one thing we have to understand, but when we're trying to understand the spiritual world, it's really big. And it's like a room for all kinds of ideas that don't exactly fit into our concepts. Like sometimes there's 2 points of view on a philosophical idea, and devotees will say, well, how can there be 2 points of view? And one answer is, well, spiritual world is pretty big. It can fit more than one point of view. So, we want everything, we try to think, well, it's just like this. This is the truth, and it's just like this. The spiritual world, not exactly going to always be just like the way it is here. So therefore, there's differences sometimes. Okay, so I think we're good to go. Yes? Can we go? Can we say goodbye? It's 9:28. I will sit here for 2 minutes and stare at the screen if you have anything else to say. But if I read something else, it could take more than 2 minutes, and then we'll get 3 comments, and then pretty soon it'll be 10 o'clock. So maybe we end now, okay? Thank you. Glad to see all of you. Hare Krishna to everyone. And Srila Prabhupada ki jai ho. Haribo. Gauranga. Nityananda. Shri Advaita. Gadadhar. Shri Vasari.